Hello everyone, welcome to today's lesson. Today we'll be continuing on the subject of playing and learning in layers and playing or improvising solos according to a specific chord or specific harmony versus trying to do a one scale fits all approach. And today we'll look at what I think is one of the top 10 rock solos, and that is the solo by George Harrison in the Beatles song Something. I'm excited to be studying that with you today. And once again, you'll see in George Harrison's solo that his solo is built on these strong pillars of chord tones, that he doesn't use any sort of one scale fits all approach, but he's playing very directly to the chords. And this song is a very good example of a shifting tonality, whereas in Reelin' in the Years it was very simple. It was all in the key of A. There were only two chords. This song is a bit more complex. The tonality is shifting in several different places, so you could never get away with looking for one scale to fit the entire solo. You just can't do it. So you'll need to be looking at this solo from the perspective of playing to specific chords, playing to a specific harmonic situation, and that's what we'll be looking at today. So to begin, I'll play George Harrison's solo for you from the Beatles song Something. Okay, so to begin looking at the solo, we have to look at the harmony. And as I said, the chord progressions to this song are much more complex than Reelin' in the Years. So take a look on the screen here, and I'll play the chords for you. It's C, C major 7, C7, to F, F, C with E in the bass. We call that a first inversion chord when the third of the chord is the lowest sounding tone. So that's a first inversion C chord, or C with E in the bass, to D7. Then we go G. Now this whole measure is essentially G. He just uses this D7 over A chord. It's D7 with a fifth in the bass, which is called a second inversion chord, when the fifth is the lowest sounding chord tone. Okay? So he uses that as a passing tone in the middle of this measure, going from G, D7, and to a first inversion G7 chord, G7 with the third in the bass, or B as the lowest sounding tone. So then we go to A minor, A minor major 7, A minor 7, to D7, probably recognized from. Okay, well, that's for another day. Anyway, so A minor major 7, A minor 7 to D7, and then the motif that he uses as the turn for this song, which is, that's F, E flat, second inversion G chord, which is G with D as the lowest sounding note, or the fifth in the bass, to C. And there you have it. Great chord progression. So now let's look at the solo. Opening chord is C. So he starts with playing the third to the fifth. He uses this second as a point of tension and release, right? Remember we talked about that concept in the previous lesson. Preceding a chord tone by a non-chord tone for tension. Third and fifth of the C chord. And lands on the third, very strong, right? Now what does he do there? From the fifth, he bends the fifth up to a sixth. He's going from a point of release to tension up to the sixth, and then release back to the fifth. All right? Now what does he do there? The harmony at this point is changing from C major 7 to C7, and what's characteristic about this chord is that minor seventh. We have this descending melodic line happening here from and he plays directly to that C7 chord right here. Minor 7. So there the chord changes to F, and he plays, you can see he's perfectly aware that he's playing to an F chord here. So as he makes this transition here from the C chord, or C7 chord rather, to F, he's playing the fifth and the sixth again, and he bends the note up, even more tension away from the sixth and back down to the fifth. So there's big tension and release. And third, fifth and third. So he starts with a lot of tension. Fifth, third. He lands on the strong pillars of those chord tones. F. And his next statement in this little transition here, going from F, first inversion C chord, to D7, right? He plays very directly to this F chord, and then plays the same exact phrase for the C chord. What is that? It's third, fifth, fifth, third. Only he plays that last third after a slide here, so it's. Then the D7 chord, he goes directly into another D arpeggio, lands on the fifth. He adds a little tension to it by sliding up and back to the sixth. All right, so fifth, root, third, and then fifth again, bending to a sixth. So this whole little phrase he plays against this measure of D7 is you hear how this is an octave higher of where he started. He started here. Right? Fifth, root, third, fifth. Okay? On the strong pillars of chord tones. So then the chord changes from D7 to G. And here's where the magic happens. Here's where these next 6 notes are, in my opinion, among the greatest 6 notes in rock and roll history. He plays in this one measure against this, what is essentially a G7 chord, playing G, the passing D7 to G7 with B in the bass, or first inversion G7 chord. He plays. So how does he start this? playing to the G chord. He's bending the ninth up to the third and lands on the root. So there's the tension away, and he lands on the root. So you have very strong third and root here to start. And then the amazing notes are, what is that?